Hi, everybody. It's Crystal here from Fat Product Review. So excited to have Bevan here today from Fat Kid Dance Party. Hi, Bevan.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Crystal.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I've had the pleasure of dancing with you and doing aerobics with you a couple times, and I love the whole concept of Fat Kid Dance Party. And the whole concept of my channel here is to have a repository for all things fat and fabulous, and I believe Fat Kid Dance Party is one of those really fantastic things for fatties. And in addition to that, you are so inclusive. You include everybody, right? Everybody, all people who are queer or gay or trans, everybody is invited to Fat Kid Dance Party.
Absolutely.
Anybody who's ever been bullied, right? For one thing.
Yeah, if you've ever felt too fat, too much, or felt too awkward to dance, this is the class that's made for you.
In fact, you celebrate awkward at your classes.
I do. It's rule number 2 is we cheer for awkward. So if you feel awkward at any moment, you just holler out, "I feel awkward," and everyone will cheer for you. And it's really powerful when you're doing aerobics to just name that you're awkward because it helps to diffuse it, right? Like that's actually in real life too. If you feel awkward, or like you were saying in our chat that like doing something uncomfortable every day is part of moving forward. And that's where you name it. You say, "I feel awkward," and you do it anyway. And then you can imagine all of us cheering for you from the aerobics class, but it's a very low stakes way to practice something that actually can help you achieve monumental success in your life.
Totally. It's like I know everybody feels that way. I don't care what a great dancer you are or what a great exerciser you are, if there's such a thing. Whenever you're trying something new, when your body's having to move in a different way, even if you do it really well, I imagine you probably still feel a little awkward because you don't know how it looks or how you're looking, and your body feels like, oh, I don't usually do this with my body. So what's the big deal? We feel awkward sometimes. That's just common.
Yeah, it's just life. And we're sort of conditioned to be complacent in our society. And I think, and we also have this like perfectionism ideal that's in white supremacy that also just like infests everything you do, where you feel like you have to be perfect at it, which is not true. You actually don't have to be perfect at anything because you can't be. And just being awkward and allowing those feelings to kind of move through you is just such a powerful place to live because it doesn't take your peace away from you as easily as just staying awkward and just not doing it. Because the longer you feel something, the harder it is to get through it.
I don't know why this occurred to me when you said that about white supremacy, but did you watch the interview with Michelle Obama after she wrote her book? And she talked about how she felt like they were held to such a higher standard, white supremacy, right?
Mhm.
When you're the first Black president, the first Black family in the White House, you have to be perfect. And how I started crying because I can only imagine the relief they must have felt when they were like, oh, thank God we're out of the glaring spotlight. But just anyway, I know a lot of people of color feel like that. If they're not perfect, then they get judged, more harshly. And of course, queer people feel that way, and trans people feel that way, and fat people feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this concept called minority uplift. And it's basically just like a thing you're taught that you have to hold yourself to a higher standard just because. And it's kind of like an assimilation tactic to try to just please everybody and just get through and do it. And it's profoundly unfair. It's really not fair, but it exists, right? Like, but you don't have to buy into the things other people tell you you have to be. And I think that's part of being fat and fabulous and loving yourself, is just knowing that like we live in a fat phobic society that would prefer that we don't exist, but like
Yeah.
we do. It's actual human diversity. There are fat people. There have always been fat people. And so it's so curious that they want us not to be that way. But the truth is we are, and shame doesn't create weight loss, it creates weight gain. And then you got a fat phobic, shamey sort of culture that's telling us, no, you can't be this way. But then here you are.
I used to yell at the trolls like, you're gonna make me fatter. Isn't that what you hate? Like,
Yeah.
stop.
Now, what they hate is they hate an empowered woman
Oh,
who loves.
they don't like people that don't diet, that are free of the diet culture and are not spending a bunch of time dieting. And like, this too, fat women living a fabulous life, and in a happy, the pandemic has not been super happy, but like if you're empowered and you are like in your body and you're enjoying it, you're having pleasure and sex and you're eating food and you're not dieting, oh, it pisses people off so bad.
Yeah. Because they do that, right? Like if other
Exactly.
people are like, or they're just enjoying the privilege of it. Because a lot
Yeah.
of thin people are just thin without
Right.
in a very unfair way. Basically, they're just thin. They can eat all the cake batter right from the box. I have a friend who's very thin who does that. And I'm like, and she's like, I've never had a doctor talk to me about my health. And it's so wrong because I was screwing myself up for a long time. And so she's like, this is where fat phobia affects all of us. And I was like, absolutely. Because it's,
I just can think of all the times I've been to the doctor for different things. Like, I thought I scratched the cornea of my eye, and they want to talk about my weight, and I'm like, I don't see how the two are related. And that was the day they took my blood pressure 5 times because they just could not believe it was 120/80.
yeah.
And like the fifth time, the lady's honest to God, she's trying to take it as I'm walking down the hall to the room. Like, you can't take blood pressure when someone's moving. She just didn't believe it. There's no way I can have such good blood pressure. I was like,
Wow.
sorry. Are you upset? Are you mad? Aren't you happy for me?
It's a paradigm shift for them because I think, I mean, it's also like we're pathologized and it's like the way we're coded to be perfectionists and to not be awkward. We're also coded to think that fat people are automatically unhealthy and lazy, which is not true. And like, there's lots of ways people are fat. And so it's so sad when people in the medical profession aren't taught like human diversity. But I mean, this is the work of the body liberation movement, is to teach anti-fat bias training.
I do hear from a few people that are in the medical world that they're starting to get a little bit of training, a little tiny bit. And I do have a friend who he's a nurse, and he actually reached out to me and said, hey, can you tell me about this life that you're living as a fat person and you're not dieting? Like, hey, I feel like I have a lot to learn. And so I taught him all about HAES, and I shared all my friends, videos and their blogs. And he's like, I want to learn more. And he's been a nurse for a long time in Arizona. And I was like, I feel like there's a tiny little crack that's finally some stuff is getting in there. We have a million miles to go. Don't get me wrong, but little progress. I do get tired of settling for breadcrumbs, but gotta take it where we can get it. But so, do fat people exercise? They really do aerobics with you, Bevan? Like, really? Because I thought fat people didn't exercise. I thought they just sat around all day long.
It's funny. Fat people do all the same things that thin people do.
Really? Isn't that
They're diverse, just like thin people. Some thin people sit around, some thin people exercise, some fat people exercise, some fat people sit around, and it's all good. And you can sit around and exercise. It's chair aerobics, and it's actually
chair aerobics. It was actually a really good workout. I got Mike could feel my blood pumping, and we were doing it was great.
Yeah, chair aerobics are actually, I find, more intense than standing aerobics for smaller durations because you're only using one part of your body. So it's kind of like how people talk about leg day, right? It's arm day, right? And so you're using this whole top part of your body, jiggling around and working out. And it's a really, really intense workout. It's good.
Yeah. So tell everybody, like, what do you do? You usually do a dance around a song, right? You kind of choreograph this dance, and we all kind of learn the dance together, right?
So Fat Kid Dance Party has lots of components, and I think it's really like an art. I come to this from like a drag background. I'm a group exercise trained person, but I came to this. A lot of people are aerobics instructors who are athletes or dancers, and I was neither of those things. I was just fat, and felt really bullied away from the dance floor. I really didn't believe in myself or believe in my body for many, many years until I was about 22, and I made a decision to stop hating myself. And the first thing I did when I stopped hating myself or wanted to stop hating myself was start dance aerobics again. I put in a tape at the time. I think it was like The Grind from MTV Workouts or something. So like, I just really like dance aerobics. I always have. And I really was punished with exercise as a kid, as a fat kid, so I really wanted to, when Fat Kid Dance Party came to me, which was just 3 years ago, I really just wanted to create a space where it was a very welcoming, chill place to work out, no judgment, lots of fun, connection. I have people of all sizes who take my classes, but obviously it's mostly fat people. But it's for anybody who feels left behind by mainstream fitness. I've had people who do Ironman workouts or thingies who come to my class and find it a challenge, right? Because I teach a wide level of varieties of movement, and and anybody, you can take breaks as much as you want. I've had people who've never worked out before come to my class, and obviously it's a challenge for them. I've had people come to my class, and in the first 5 minutes, their knee was hurting, so they sat down and did it from a chair. And I'm always glad people listen to their bodies, because that's the most
High
important.
five for self-care.
Yeah, high five for self-care. That's rule number 4. Because,
Right.
you know, if you're feeling the moves, you high five. If you're getting a drink of water, it's a high five. And everybody gets a high five just for showing up, because showing up is always the hardest part of working out. It's pressing play and actually moving, right?
True. It feels so good to move, even if you feel awkward. Like, or I sometimes dance at home just to kind of get my blood. Like, if I'm feeling like kind of a run down, I know I really want to do some blogging or something that night. So I'll just like turn some music on, just dance around my house, and just gets me feeling so happy. Like, just get those good endorphins going, and just, I don't know. I don't really feel like it's a workout. It's just like, feels good, just like move my body and get all the stuff shaken out of it, you know?
It is. I mean, that's
Thank
literally
you.
like in Eastern cultures, there's like Qigong, and there's a lot of different things that involve shaking. And like shaking is actually really good for you, even if it's, you know, and dancing is good for you. So almost
Yeah.
every culture except for ours has movement and breath practice that people use to process trauma, because trauma will come to every life. But most of us are taught not to talk about our feelings, and not to, certainly not to move about our feelings. Imagine if someone told you someone died and you started dancing, right? Like that will help you move those sad feelings, because you don't have to dance for joy. You can dance for feelings, you know, and just let them go. And it will help change your state. Like you said, like you put on a song, you dance, you have fun, and it can elevate your state. You know, you might not go from like wildly depressed to feeling like you're thriving, but you might go from wildly depressed to like bummed, you know, and that's a shift, and that's a valid shift. And like, even like just sitting in a chair and dancing for any little
Chair dancing.
period of time, it makes a difference, right? And like, gosh, imagine if you like did a whole workout, right? Like 3 times a week. What would that feel like in your body?
And music also just makes you feel good. At least it does for me. But Bevan, I didn't know that people danced to deal with their grief and their the death. So like, is it in their what do you call it, like their protocols or their ways that they deal with grief in certain cultures?
In certain cultures, I read about this in a really great book if you love to study the effects of trauma on the body. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's really, truly one of the most seminal books I've read as a person who works with people and their bodies. And there, he was talking about there are tribes in Africa where when someone passes, it's part of like, they just pop right into dance and movement and drumming. And it's like all about just moving the feelings, because you're having feelings. And trauma gets stored in the body when you don't pass it through. So like, as you're experiencing trauma, imagine how incredibly transformative it would be. Instead of bottling up your feelings, you express them, you use your voice to like moan and cry and let it go and hollered, and you danced with your people, and that's belonging and connection, because trauma
Community.
severs human connection. Trauma makes us feel like we're all alone. And I believe that, and one of the many things he talks about that will heal trauma is being in groups with people, and moving and connecting. And so like, you know, even and doing like choirs and things like that. So
Yeah.
where you're moving energy with people. I can't wait when Fat Kid Dance Party blows up and I have a research budget. I'm going to study the effects of line dancing on trauma healing, because I actually think there's something about the herd mentality. We've line danced before in Fat Kid Dance Party. So that's part of every class. Is I do so many different things. People don't really understand what's happening. Like I'll choreograph a thing. So we'll learn a dance over like 3 songs. We'll do a few like one-off songs where we're doing specific medicine, right? Like I have a whole shakeout thing with a Big Frida RuPaul song I love. And then we do a line dance, and that's like 2 songs. We learn it and then we do it. But I really think there's some that are just like aerobics one-off numbers, like a Pointer Sister song or Madonna or whatever, right? But like those line dance moments, I think where you're in that herd with people moving around and like, you know, sometimes bumping into people, which I think is good luck. But like that, I think is really healing for us. And in this way where it like helps us to trust humans again.
Line dancing is like being in community, right? So you're like in community with your people, or even just randoms, but you're all doing the same thing together. And it's like you create a little mini community for like 3 minutes, you know? And
Yeah.
it's so people, whenever you say line dancing, people think of like hokey, you know, line dancing that you had to learn in PE when you're in elementary school. But a lot of cultures have line dances. They don't call it line dancing. We associate line dancing with like country music and stuff like that, which is cool too. But I mean, there's all kinds of line dancing in all kinds of cultures, even in America, and it's so fun to do. And anybody that's done at the wedding, everybody's doing the same dance. That's so fun when that happens.
It is so fun. And there's also, I mean, so many genres, soul, R&B,
Yeah,
there's a ton. And like, also then you just have your like classic cheesy line dances, like the
yeah.
Cupid Shuffle. It was
Right.
on, the Cupid Shuffle was played at every bat mitzvah and wedding I went to the first year I taught Fat Kid Dance Party. So I just started teaching it.
The Macarena.
That's the Macarena, right? That's a fun one to do.
Hey,
It's
Macarena. Everybody
all
knows that one. Yeah, so easy. It's hard to forget, right? Or the Born to Hand Jive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Dance Party.
pretty wonderful. So, what made you decide one day, I love this. I'm gonna turn this into a business because I'm always interested in the business side of things too, So, I'm gonna make this into a business. Like, how did you think that could possibly work?
Okay, so I want to just give you a 2020 update is that I no longer monetize my hobbies. So once I did Fat Kid Dance Party, then I really started releasing this idea of monetizing my hobbies because I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't understand that was my urge. I just knew I didn't want to have a boss and I didn't want to wholesale my time. Right. So like cutting out the middleman. I love consulting work, right? Like where I'm just coming in, helping you do your thing. You pay me instead of like it filtering through like a boss, right? So, but I kept monetizing my hobbies, trying to like make them make money. Like I would throw wonderful parties in New York City. I was like a nightlife promoter, and I would create these body positive queer dance parties, which were great, but they never made me money. Like I like paid a student loan payment every month from the party I spent probably 40 hours putting together, So it's like, it is what it is. But then the aerobics came to me because when I moved to LA from New York, I was taking all levels dance aerobics classes because I know I need movement in order to process emotions. I was going through a lot of change because I moved. And so I was like, oh, this is not an all levels class. I was just like critiquing it in my head. I was like, you don't understand how to be accessible. Like I've been doing body liberation work since I was 22. Like I kind of get it, right? And I'm not perfect. You always up level in being intersectional and accessible, right? Like there's a learning curve constantly because people are people and there's always more to learn, right?
Sure.
But like there are some basics, right, that these people were not getting because again, they were all athletes and dancers who didn't understand body diversity or like what people were going through. So I was in these classes huffing and puffing in the back row being like, I'm a fit person and this is not an all levels class. So I just kept thinking about who else was left out of that room. So then I was like, well, I know how to throw a party and I know these people aren't even getting their lighting or music correct. So like maybe I should try this. So I got group exercise certified and I just started and I have a drag background, so I know how to choreograph and I know how to make things engaging. And I also like to make the kind of aerobics I want to take. So I don't want to do the same thing the whole class. There's some classes where you just learn one dance the whole time.
Right.
Which is fine. Those are fun sometimes. But for me, I like variety. I like to keep it up. I also like if we spend the time to learn over 3 songs at the beginning of class, I like to come back and reprise at the end for our cool down, which helps people feel proud of the thing that they learned.
Yeah, for sure.
And that just came out of my experience loving dance aerobics. So, and also like Richard Simmons, I listened to that Missing Richard Simmons podcast this summer. I was creating Fat Kid Dance Party and I was just like, oh, he got his energy work all wrong. Like, and I'm a Reiki master on top of all this. So like, I understand energy healing and I understand energy work. And so in many ways, I see Fat Kid Dance Party way more as a healing than as a movement class, but it functions both.
Yeah, it functions in both for sure. But I believe you're right. It's a lot. There's so much more going on there than people dancing together. It's very healing. And, some people are so new to the whole concept too, that you could do something with other people and it feels inclusive and you don't feel left out. It's so new for them. You and I have the benefit of being in this sort of world for a while, but I think when some people come to Fat Kid Dance Party, they're like, oh shit, I didn't know this could even happen for me.
Yeah.
And that's to me where I'm like, oh, that's what I wanted. Somebody to feel beautiful, that they, even if they don't meet whatever society's beauty standards are, they can too be beautiful and feel great and get applause from everybody and feel like they're part of something and not feel, always on the periphery of the whatever the thing is, the popular people or the cool people or whatever. Like, we are the cool people.
Everyone is cool. Like that's the thing is that one of the most pivotal things I ever learned is you belong in every room that you're in. And I think so many of us feel like we don't belong. And so thus we don't belong, right? It's your perception, right? And it's funny being a fat person, like living in LA, I would go to these like, things, Hollywood things. And like, I would look around and be like, I am more confident than everyone here. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just a choice. It's a way of shifting your thinking over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of fake it till you make it. But like, I think places like Fat Kid Dance Party are revolutionary. It's a place where the first place a lot of people have the experience of shaking their body and not feeling ashamed of their jiggle.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like to say we reclaim our jiggle for healing because it moves your energy through you so it can move out,
Yeah.
and then you can open up for more joy.
I used to always, if I would take a group exercise class, I'd always try to be in the back of the room, away from the mirror, away from so the instructor couldn't see me. So, because if I was doing something wrong, or if my stomach was jiggling or my underarms were jiggling, that he might or she might not see it. And it's like a Fat Kid Dance Party, you're just like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
It's so powerful to be with people that are like your people. You feel at home, and you don't feel embarrassed and awkward and like self-conscious. I guess that's the biggest thing, right? And everybody's been bullied before, I think. I mean, most people have probably been bullied in some way or another, but fat people, queer people, trans people, Black people, people of color, we get it all the time, and it's like, I know for me, I kind of have what I call like my fat girl armor on all the time. I'm just ready. When someone says something ridiculous, I'm ready. I have it right here, and I'm sure people of color have that as well. And it's nice to be somewhere where you can like let that go, and you don't have to like be ready with your pounce back to the person who says something shitty to you. And that alone is such a release. You just like feel, oh, thank God I could just be who I am, not worry if I have to be ready with a retort, with a very snappy, funny ass retort to this asshole that just said something to me. So it's like, oh, feels so good.
Yeah. What's interesting is like, I feel like I'm ready all the time for stuff like that, but I also don't even think about it. I'm not conscious of it. And so like, the thing that comes up more frequently for me is like my neighbors. It's true. It was true in LA and it's true here. My neighbors comment on my weight loss. Like if they've noticed I've lost weight, I don't have a scale. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I pay attention to how my body feels and how I'm treating my body, because my body is the one I get. And so I choose to take great care of it because it also helps improve my peace and my experience of the world. Right. Like, and I had lost some weight. I don't care, but what the funny thing is like now I realize what my automatic response retort is. Oh, I don't care about that stuff. And like, it blows their mind because what's interesting? They obviously care about that stuff because they're paying attention to my weight. And I'm like, really?
I think for some people, that's the first thing they always think of. And people will say that to me, and I'm like, I haven't lost weight in like 20 years. But I think that's what people are just used to saying. Oh, you look great. Have you lost weight? I'm like, no, you idiot. But it's like something people just say. It's like a part of the conversation. It's like, I would never comment on somebody's way their body looks. And don't get me going on that, because I try not to say anything ever, because what if that person's been losing weight because they've been ill or something really depressing, or like if someone gained weight, I would be like, oh, you look so fat, so why would I say, oh, you look so thin? It's not my body. It's not my business. I would never say anything like that. I might say like, oh, I love the little rose in your hair, Bevan. Like that's the kind of thing it looks adorable. So how can people, if they want to know more about Fat Kid Dance Party, how could they find out about that?
Okay, so I have a place on the web. It's a website. It's fatkiddanceparty.com. So fatkiddanceparty.com. I'm also on, and so that has like the portals to all the fun things. So I have pre-recorded workout videos that are professionally produced that I crowdfunded for. Big ups to anybody out there who was part of that original crowdfund. Thank you for making that happen. So I crowdfunded, created this cool series of workout videos, but it's the way I taught my class in 2018. Like it's getting better every day, every week. I just constantly improve it. And so now you can take a weekly class with me. I teach a Zoom aerobics class, but the even better one is the one I upload. So I have like an on-demand menu of 6 classes. And all of this is linked through fatkiddanceparty.com, but it's available through patreon.com. So patreon.com/FKDP. It's a membership support site. You could just support me at $2 a month because you believe in what I do. And there are plenty of people who do that. And I'm so grateful to them because with COVID, That's how it's literally, I didn't get a stimulus check. This is literally how I'm living my life. It's from my Patreon. Bless up my Patreon supporters. And so, but for $25 a month, you get access to the full range. You get all the Zoom aerobics classes and my on-demand aerobics classes, which I teach in the woods. So I hike into the woods and I teach this beautiful aerobics class. Lots of different times, a 10-minute, a 20-minute, 45-minute, 2 55-minute classes, and just a chair class, a dedicated chair class. All of my classes you can do in a chair, but the chair class is chair for chair, right? So because I had a Patreon supporter who was like, I want a just chair class. I was like, great, I'll add it to the rotation. So it's been really fun to like just keep getting better. I love this. This is, I think about retiring a lot, right? Like I really do want to have like more like passive money, right? But I will never, I'll retire from the marketing of Fat Kid Dance Party. I'll retire from filming it. I will just show up and teach the class. I'll never not teach this class. This is truly like, you know, like I said, I used to monetize my hobbies because I was trying to find that thing I was meant to be doing. Right. And then this is the thing. This is my thing, my gift to the world, the unique thing that Bevan does. So Patreon is a great way to just support me and support what I do and to have access to the freshest aerobics. And the Zoom class is really fun because it's fun to dance with people from all over the world and to get to meet folks and see their pets. Because before we didn't get to bring our pets to Fat Kid Dance parties. So now
Biscuit never showed up.
Oh, Biscuit is only in virtual Fat Kid Dance Party spaces. He was actually, we were going to go on tour this year in the alternate 2020. And I was going to get a little van so that he could come with me. So then he was going to come. But it's all right. We have the 2020 we have, and we have all these online ways to connect. And also I have a podcast. So if you like don't want to work out and you just want more of this mindset, I do solo episodes and I do episodes with my friends, and it's called Bevan, a Femme Over 40 and Her Friends podcast. And you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, literally just by searching Bevan, and it pops up because I have a nice, unusual name.
Yeah, very unique name. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like, I think that's also helpful too, because like Fat Kid Dance Party, 80% of Fat Kid Dance Party is mindset. So, but like I said, it's a healing, it's movement. It's really, really great to get your blood pumping.
It's not about trying to change your body.
Nope.
It's not about, you're required to work out 4 times a week. Like that's what the Surgeon General says or whatever. It's none of that crap, right? It's none of that, like the healthism that we talked about earlier. It's like, it's not that. It's more for your mental health than anything else, right?
100%. I think mental health is actually the most important health for me. Is like I do everything around my mental health, and my body ironically affects my mental health a lot. So it's like the things I do to care for my body really cares for my mental health, which is really caring for my experience of the world. And I want to be a beneficial presence on the planet. I want to be of good cheer. That's my like mission in life, is to just be of good cheer. And so I can't be of good cheer either to myself or to others unless I'm taking great care of myself. But that's a choice I make for me, and it's not something I owe anyone else. You don't owe anyone any health whatsoever. And remember that health is very subjective, and our mainstream definitions of health actually don't take into account actual human diversity. Health at every size is science, and it really works, like nourish your body, go outside and play with your friends, and figure out mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. There's so much to that. And you got to decide what your health priorities are. And a lot of people in the body liberation movement prioritize their mental health over weight loss, because like mental health, like weight loss prescriptions hurt their mental health. And so then like, I think the balance, everyone has to have a balance, right? Like if you'd rather starve yourself and suffer mentally, that's your choice. And if you'd rather like not ever diet again because it affects your mental health, that's also your choice. I don't diet, but I do take very great care with what I put in my body, because a lot of foods are very poisonous to my body, which I figured out by recognizing my body's cues and paying attention to her. And so, I've had to give up things that don't serve me. And that's how I think about it and talk about it. I think mindset and language is so important about how you talk about that kind of stuff.
When I'm thinking about food I'm eating, I'm thinking about what's going to make my brain feel good. Mm-hmm. What's going to help my brain to fix. I want to have my ideas, and I want to have my energy, and I want to have clearness and clarity. And I know certain foods don't do that for me. So that's how I try to look at what I put into my body. But people people also don't realize that a lot of people in the healthy world, in the world of exercise, they're very ableist. They don't even consider the fact that some people can't do certain things, or they just, even it might be their mental health that won't allow them to do certain things, but it's like they assume that everybody is so able-bodied and so, extroverts and just can go out to a dance class, and how come you stay home all the time? Well, there could be a million reasons, but they don't seem to give much compassion towards that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, people, judgmental people, it's not surprising that they don't have any compassion, because judgment and compassion are a feedback loop. So like they're judging people, but they're not even thinking through like what these people are. They're just thinking about their value and their power, and
Yeah.
asserting and maintaining their power and value from thinness, which is unearned. It is unearned power and value. And it doesn't have to exist. You can just choose to step out, unplug from that matrix.
Yep.
Oh, here we are, where like your value has nothing to do with your size. Hey, great.
Zero. I know. We could go on forever and ever about that stuff, but yeah, I get a little disappointed by people, even people in my friend circle and stuff. I just like assume, well, I walk 6 days a week. Why can't you? And I'm like, don't go there with me.
Yeah.
I do what I feel like I need to do for my body. I'm good. Thanks for your bullshit advice. But yeah.
It is total bullshit advice. The thing I'm asked most frequently is, how can I get this other person to work out? I think your thing is really good for someone else I know. And my answer is, come do Fat Kid Dance Party. Don't tell tell your friend, hey, I'm doing this fun thing. Invite them if you want, but don't pressure them, and don't tell them they need to do it. You do it. Any behavior change you want someone else to do, you need to do it. Whenever you're pointing one finger, you're pointing 3 back at yourself.
Look inwards, please, people.
Nobody wants to be told what to do. People, there's so much information. I mean, look at YouTube. You can learn everything. You don't have to even go to college anymore. Everything's on YouTube.
Everything's available.
It's available. Just do the thing that you want to do, and like get curious, follow your curiosities. I think our curiosities are actually nudges from God about what we need to learn and develop. And you don't owe anyone your health.
No, and you don't have to. I know people will try to tell you it's just part of being a human. You have to at least move 6 days a week. And I'm like, no, it's not for every human, but people believe that. And so that's like their cult that they're in, and there's no talking to them. So that's fine. I always say, go do your thing. I'll go do my thing. You can have your little corner of the world. I'll have my little corner of the world, and we can both be very happy and, live wonderful, amazing lives. And that's great if you like to walk 6 days a week, but there's no rule. There's no requirement. Nobody has to walk if they don't want to.
Yeah.
We'll get a little judgy when it comes to exercise, and anything has to do with the fat body, especially. But anyway, I should stop. Anyway, so lovely talking with you, Bevan. I appreciate your time so much, and I'll put all the links in the show notes. And of course, we always want you to subscribe, comment, and share. And we'll keep doing lots of more interviews, and I want to talk about other things like medical fat phobia, eating out in restaurants, all those things that flying while fat, all those things. So I'm sure we'll have you involved with lots more conversations in the future.
I would love to. I mean, medical fat phobia is why I do what I do. My stepmother died after being prescribed Fen-Phen when I was 19 years old. Had a heart attack at 48 years old. And so and I've had people I love die from not weight loss surgery. I call it stomach amputation surgery.
Amputation, yeah.
Yeah. So, medical fat phobia is really, it's my why. It's what radicalized me. But also Crystal, I just want to thank you so much for just being you in the world. I think you pump so much value into, especially fat folks, you do it with such a selfless heart. You've created so many spaces where people have healed, and I'm just appreciating you in the world, and I'm excited about this treasure trove you're making in this YouTube channel.
Thank you. Same to you, Bevan. I appreciate everything you do as well, because it's a better world with Fat Kid Dance Party for sure.
Yay. Thank you so much. Love you.
Bless you too. Peace.